Tonight on NAIT NewsWatch.
We talked to students looking for work placement during a pandemic.
They told me that, hey, if you want to work for us, we're not looking for anybody till around next year.
Local artisans stress the importance of shopping local this Christmas season.
This is unprecedented. When this pandemic started, our economy absolutely crashed.
In entertainment, we take a trip to Magic of Lights of Castrol Raceway.
One of our fan favorites is definitely backflipping Santa in the sport zone. So that display is 200 feet long, 60 feet wide.
NewsWatch starts now.
Good evening. Welcome to NewsWatch. As COVID cases rise in Alberta, the government has decided to implement more regulations in order to halt the spread of cases. Some of the new restrictions prohibits bars and restaurants closing their doors at 10. Our David Medow joins us live from our news center with more on that story.
Thanks, guys. With the anniversary of COVID passing this week, it's sad to say our cases of infections and deaths due to COVID-19 have only risen. With around 42,000 cases in Alberta, 10,000 active cases, and around 450 deaths, the Alberta government has decided to issue new regulations to combat the virus. Some feel like it's about time, whether others feel like the new regulations are just a setback.
During the summer, bars, liquor stores, and restaurants had to adapt to the pandemic to keep doors open. Yet, with the rising cases and new regulations, many employees and employers are feeling fed up.
Having to close early really takes a toll on our sales, especially because it's like bar pub type of vibe, right? So we get a lot of customers coming in from I would say 11 till 2 a.m. That's where we get a lot of sales, right? A lot of people want to drink on those Friday, Saturday nights, right?
For those in the medical field, however, it feels like it's just about time the government steps in and does something to try and stop the spread. Some even feeling like 2 weeks is not enough and a second lockdown should be put into place.
Impacting us pretty hard in the hospitals, and for the frontline workers, it's like fighting a battle where nobody's on your side and the outside of the battlefield, so to speak. If we're going to lockdown for 2 weeks, then we really need to be enforcing that. Because if we keep mucking about and just saying, well, this doesn't apply to me, or it takes away my freedoms, or what have you, then we're prolonging being able to deal with this, and that's what's going to hurt our economy long run.
With flu season already in our midst and cases rising faster than expected, we have yet to see if 2 weeks of new regulations is enough.
Instead of cutting back hours like that, because it's going to drive a lot of people back into, I would say, the very initial stages of the quarantine we had to go through, right?
So David, do you think shutting doors early for 2 weeks is going to be that much of a burden?
Well, during the summer, many bars, restaurants, and liquor stores had to change their overall service, only allowing half of their store to be open for customers, retraining staff to abide by COVID protocols, implementing new masks, and virtual menus. As you can imagine, this has impacted their overall income, and now being told to close doors early has only made some employees and employers feel like the new regulations are redundant due to the fact that they've already followed the previously mentioned ones.
And to clarify, what are the specific regulations that have been put into place?
For restaurants, bars, and liquor stores, it's closing their doors at 11, stopping liquor stores at 10. For everyone else, 15 people or more are not allowed to be in one space. Any performing arts activities, any group activities, or social gatherings are also going to be prohibited for the 2-week duration. And sports is also has some new regulations, which Ben Tompkins will talk about later in the show today.
Thanks, David. That's David Medow reporting live from our news center tonight.
You're watching NAIT NewsWatch, the next generation of news.
The MacEwan Theatre and Music program will not be seeing each other face-to-face until later in the semester after a COVID-19 breakout. Last Friday, the MacEwan Theatre program saw a COVID-19 breakout that ended in 12 students of a 45-person cohort testing positive. The 12 students are currently isolated while the university shut down all face-to-face classes for their theater and music programs and moved them online. MacEwan is working to bring classes back into session in a safe manner, but now not everyone is eager to jump back in.
Everyone's trying to get it back in person, which I don't necessarily agree with, but that's the protocol they're taking.
McCune has been working with AHS to notify anyone who might have been in contact. AHS also assured that there was a low risk to the general population of the campus. Several Shop Local initiatives have been started this year, as many small businesses have closed their doors. But does shopping local actually make a difference? Let's go to Madison Gummo on White Avenue to find out.
Caroline. According to the Huffington Post, shopping locally has a major impact on our local economy. For every $100 spent locally, $68 will stay in our local economy. And shopping locally also generates 3.5 times more wealth for our economy as opposed to shopping at a chain business.
Wrong assumption.
Jessica Kent is the owner of The Bundle Box, a baby essential box filled with local baby products. She is urging Edmontonians to consider who their money can help locally before purchasing from a chain store.
It's hard to compete with the big box stores, and yes, you may be able to get a better deal, but I can guarantee you that the owner of those businesses, they are not doing a happy dance when they see an order come through.
With the pandemic, shopping locally has an even greater impact than ever before.
This is unprecedented. When this pandemic started, our economy absolutely crashed. So why not support local and keep those dollars circulating on our Canadian soil?
Several Shop Local campaigns have been started this year, including Adopt a Shop YAG, created by Linda Hong.
I kept getting messages from people and business owners who were asking, oh, can you share about me? Can you tell people that we're struggling? So I knew that there was still a need for this more concentrated push to support local.
Participants of Adopt a Shop will choose 3 local stores to spend at least $20 at. Over 200 Edmontonians have already signed up, generating an extra $12,000 to 64 small businesses in Edmonton.
I mean, it really just reminds you, or should spark in you, that year-round you should be spending small and shopping small and supporting small business owners.
When it comes to choosing whether to support local or buy from a big box store, Jessica Kent says it should be an easy decision.
I think it really is a no-brainer. Support local. This is our livelihood. Every dollar matters. Every order matters. We put our heart and soul into these products, so just kind of have that in the back of your mind.
Madison Gummo, NAIT NewsWatch.
Thanks, Madison. That was Madison Gummo reporting from White Avenue. Inter Pipeline has teamed up with NAIT for a project called Plastics Research in Action to try and repurpose the post-consumer plastics that usually end up in a landfill.
When plastic products complete their usefulness, they don't belong in landfills or the environment.
Over the next 10 years, Plastic Research in Actions will be using funding from the Strategic Innovation Fund to find ways to remanufacture plastics into new materials for making medical equipment and textiles. Other possible projects include manufacturing plastics into building products and fuel.
We believe that plastic is a valuable commodity that belongs in the economy, not the environment. It's important that as a society, we get plastics right.
Inter Pipeline will be building a complex to reproduce these materials, but with 80% of plastics ending up in landfills, they will not be waiting for the facility to get started on finding ways to reduce and reuse plastics. An animal rescue and adoption organization is facing a financial setback amid the pandemic. Second Chance Animal Rescue Society, better known as SCARS, is having to close its intake of new animals due to financial pressure from rising veterinary bills due to an increase of animals being brought to their organization. SCARS usually has many fundraising events. However, COVID-19 has put a stop to their major in-person fundraising gala, which brought in a major source of funding. Without events like this, it's unclear how much longer the can stay
because
open.
The need is more, right? The more animals we take, the more money we spend realistically. So it's like a budget in a household. You have to start deciding, can we afford to take this litter, or can we afford to keep our doors open for 2 more weeks, 3 more weeks? And that's putting animals' lives at risk. And oftentimes it's the end of the animal's life. So
on a positive note, SCARS has seen an increase in adoptions, and if interested in participating in their fundraiser, you can get more details on their website, scarscares.ca. 2020 has been a year where we have been heavily dependent on digital connection, and the Government of Canada is now opening applications for parties to apply for the Universal Broadband Fund. The Universal Broadband Fund was started to get faster internet access to Canadians in rural and remote areas, which tend to have higher rates for internet and not as many options for providers. The fund was announced as a billion-dollar fund. The federal government has since added $750 million to that fund as an effort to accelerate the project. The pandemic has shone light on how important internet access is for Canadians to work, learn, access healthcare, and stay connected with loved ones.
I think the worst part about the internet being in a rural area is the lack of unlimited data. Like, I know sometimes, like a few years ago, our bill would be like $1,000 a month or something because there's just not really many options for providers or no really options for unlimited at all.
The goal is by 2026 that another 1.2 billion Canadian households will have better and faster internet. Coming up after the break, post-secondary students are ramping up to start work placement in January. We'll take a look at the challenges students are facing to find an internship during the pandemic and how NAIT is stepping up to help.
And they told me that, hey, if you want to work for us, we're not looking for anybody till around next year.
Local minor sports teams now have a 2-week ban. The Edmonton Eskimos set up a 50-50 memorial fund for Joey Moss, and the ACAC has set up a collegiate esports tournament in light of the season being cancelled. That and more, all coming up in sports.
Morgan here. We've got some mild temperatures coming up this weekend, and with this fresh snowfall, it might be a good day to get your dog out to the dog park. We got all that and more coming up in weather.
Lots of snow this week, hey Paige? Oh, I know. No more, please. Why don't we check in with Morgan and see what's going on this weekend?
Yeah, hey guys, you're in luck. We've got some below zero temperatures coming up, but nothing too bad. Firstly, let's check out Calgary. They got a high of +2 for tomorrow, a low of -6. Chance of precipitation, pretty okay, so get out there, Calgary, go have some fun. Up next in Jasper, we have a high of +2 and a low of -6 again. What a coincidence. Better go outside then. Now in Fort Mac, ooh, that's going to be a little colder. High of -2, low of -15. Yeah, put on an extra hoodie or something, but you can still go tobogganing. Now for Edmonton, we have a high of -3 and a low of -12. That's not too bad. So hey, I'm gonna go hit up the old walking trails in Mill Creek this weekend. It'll be good. Now for records. Our average temperature this time of year, about -2 for a high, -10 for a low. So, you know, we're sitting pretty average right now. Record high, 14. Oh man, I feel like I'd be sweating. And on the other side, -34. Whew, no thanks. All right, that's all I got for now. Back to you guys.
NewsWatch Weather, sponsored by NR92, the station for the students.
As winter terms get closer, some students are stressing about finding practicums with limited placements. One NAIT student encountered some obstacles when the practicum pandemic hit, but says NAIT is doing its best to keep opportunities. Medina Amarzadeh reports.
One thing to keep in mind is that you'll definitely find something. Like if I could find something, you'll find something.
The fall term is going to be over soon, which means some students are running out of time to find an internship. Due to the pandemic, finding work placements is challenging. A NAIT student, Suksham Shan, ran through this obstacle and doing his practicum as a photographer in Victoria.
I applied for a news station down here. They got back to me. They said, send me your resume, whatnot. I got talked to the manager and everything, and they told me that, hey, if you want to work for us, we're not looking for anybody till around next year, just because of COVID.
Times are pretty tricky for a number of our industry partners, and so we're just, again, trying to support and encourage people to be creative with how they might be able to include students into their work environments.
NAIT also provides various services to support students to find co-ops.
Our schools are really good about trying to help their students whenever possible, and so utilizing any of the services that the institutes have in place is very important for students so that they're prepared and that they know exactly where they should be looking.
NAIT was like decently helpful actually in my search for the co-ops. I mean, they told me where to look. So I guess that's where NAIT helped me from, right? And all the teachers' guidance and whatnot was very helpful as well.
Shen is glad to be able to find his internship on time by the help of NAIT. Next month, he is going to graduate and start his career. Medina Emresay, NAIT NewsWatch.
Despite the recent cancellations of the ACAC season, they could be looking at developing an entirely new collegiate sport amid the pandemic. And Alberta is seeing a 2-week ban among many minor league sports teams. We now go to Ben Tompkins for more in sports. Ben?
Yeah, thanks, Paige. Now, last week we heard the devastating news that the ACAC season had officially been canceled. Although at first that announcement made it seem as though there wouldn't be any NAIT sports for the rest of the year, there may still be hope. The ACAC has announced a collegiate esports Super Smash Bros. Tournament for this weekend, and NAIT is already reeling in the most participants among all the other participating schools.
Esports is just taking off right now all over the place, and the ACAC is recognizing this. Our own institution is recognizing the value of esports, the business potential, even looking at academic programming around the esports business.
For this event, it could be more than just a friendly tournament. It could potentially be the first stepping off point and launch for a new varsity sport at NAIT and for the rest of the ACAC for years to come. The Alberta government has exercised a 2-week sports ban among the hotspot zones in the province. What is confusing many, however, is that it only affects certain sports leagues when it seems as though everyone is following the same protocols.
It just feels like we might be getting targeted for, unknown information.
Minor league teams like the Sherwood Park Kings and their midget AAA team have been banned from both games and practices, leaving rinks empty. For Zena Dugweed, manager of the club, this frustrates her as she knows this isn't the case for everyone.
The rhyme or reason of why they're allowing some teams to do things and some teams not. There is no way that a junior A team is practicing anything different than what we were practicing. There's no way.
Zena also does work with the Sherwood Park Crusaders, whose practices and games haven't been canceled. Although she's happy they are still continuing, she doesn't understand why her midget team can't as well, as they participate in the exact same measures. The Edmonton football team will be hosting its first ever online 50-50 draw this weekend on what would have been Grey Cup Sunday. The 50-50 draw, however, actually has nothing to do with the CFL's annual championship.
He is one of the most recognizable personalities in Edmonton sports history.
The 50-50 draw will become a fun that the team hopes to continue annually to celebrate the recent passing of the late Joey Moss, a true Edmonton icon.
There's no better cause. Joey was a terrific guy who was around our locker room and the Oilers dressing room for decades. So as a start to keep the Joey Moss legacy alive for us here and in Edmonton, that's how this came about.
All the proceeds from the draw will go to the Winifred Stewart Foundation's Joey Moss Memorial Fund. The team hopes that this will be one of many ways to carry on Joey's legacy by giving back to the community that Joey knew all too well. For the CFL and its fans, this year has definitely been disappointing due to the season being canceled. However, with Grey Cup Sunday supposed to be happening this weekend, the CFL still wanted to give its fans something to cheer about.
For 107 years, every Grey Cup moment has included you, the fan.
The CFL put on its annual Grey Cup Unite celebration during its Grey Cup week, this time being celebrated as a virtual event for the first time in history due to the pandemic.
The message we wanted to send today and throughout the week is that we got knocked down, but like great football players, we're going to get right back up and get back into the huddle and look forward to the next play, and that's really the message.
Grey Cup Unite showcased many different aspects of the CFL this year, from interviews with players, coaches, and the commissioner to live tailgate events and so much more, all with the intent of giving back to fans along with the hope of returning to play. The NHL has released the reverse retro jerseys for each team, and fans are excited to get a look at the brand new threads.
All 31 teams got to show their fans some brand new alternate jerseys on Monday. This is the first time ever that every league team is included in a jersey rollout. Each jersey is inspired by each franchise's history, reimagining classic looks with a more modern twist. Fans rushed to the internet to give their take on the new attire.
I think most of them are really nice looking. There's a couple in there that I'm like, they could have done something different, something a little bit cooler looking. But aside from that, I like the bulk of them.
The Edmonton Oilers went with a hockey sweater inspired by their 1979-1980 season, which was their NHL debut. The jersey features the same logo but with throwback striping and an orange oil drop for the first time on a white jersey. Fans seem split on the design, with some saying they wanted to see a return to the Comet alternate jersey they wore from 2001 to 2007. Others seemed more impressed by the creativity of other teams from around the league.
Colorado Avalanche with the Nordiques logo instead of an actual Avalanche logo, just sort of embodying their history. I really like that one. And the same with Carolina and the Hartford Whalers jersey that they brought out. But I think my favorite, and as an Oilers fan, this is a little bit difficult to say, but Calgary's with the Blasty, the fire horse on the front, that's probably the best of the bunch.
All 31 reverse retro jerseys will be available to purchase on December 1st, and you can grab an Oilers one from their online shop. For NAIT NewsWatch, I'm Jonah Peterson.
So Ben, are you going to be participating in the Edmonton football team's 50-50 draw this Sunday?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for one thing, it's a great cause. It's an unbelievable foundation, so of course it's hard not to buy a ticket. But I mean, hey, another thing, it's a 50-50 draw. You could win a bunch of money, so it's a win-win.
Like you said, Ben, truly an amazing cause in the name of an extremely beloved person. May Joy's legacy carry on forever. Thank you, Ben. That was Ben Hopkins with our sports report. Isolation due to the pandemic has caused a lot of stress for students. NAIT's mental health services have started a campaign to help those feeling lonely and isolated during the pandemic. That and more after the break.
Act of acknowledgement or kindness can really be so helpful to someone's day.
I'm Erica Cawagas, and I'm at the Edmonton premiere of Spirit Fair and Children Make History, from the comfort of my own home. After this, I'll head to the car and drive through Casual Raceway's Magic of Lights. All that and more coming up next on Entertainment.
You're watching NAIT NewsWatch, the next generation of news.
In lieu of the pandemic and the move to online classes, NAIT is encouraging staff and students to show a little extra kindness to one another. The Kindness is Contagious campaign is NAIT's way of showing students the extra support they might need during these times of stress and isolation.
There's been an overall feeling of how can we bring some of the humanity back.
The Kindness is Contagious campaign was launched to combat the loneliness one might feel during the shift in lifestyle that the pandemic has brought along. Not being face-to-face can make it more difficult to tell how one another is really feeling, so NAIT is asking that you take initiative by showing some interest or just offering some support to each other.
When you keep piling on the stressors, it is a lot harder to get through, so even the little act of acknowledgement or kindness can really be so helpful to someone's day.
The campaign consists of weekly videos and tips on showing support, random acts of kindness, bingo, and how to make kindness a part of COVID-19 procedures. Although the demand for counseling has not increased, stress and emotion have. A simple act of kindness can make all the difference. You can find the campaign at nait.ca/bekind. A NAIT auto body technician student is building up his future both inside and out of NAIT's auto shop. And even though he hasn't graduated yet, he's in the final stretch of his program and plans to drive out in style. Our reporter Todd Marie has more on that story.
"20-year-old Mateo Medoro has been building rat rods from the ground up for 5 years. His inspiration for making these vintage vehicles came from his father.
He has like an old Chevy Nova, and he races at Castro all the time. So he kind of got me into that look, you know.
One of Medoro's first projects was putting an engine on a mini bike. When Medoro was 15, he built his first rat rod truck out of a 1951 Ford he got from his father, Angelo, who flipped cars at the time.
He basically, right from frame up, welded, fabricated, put the motor in, everything himself. I really didn't even help him because he didn't want one in my hand and just a little bit on the electrical at the end.
One of his latest projects is Old Coal, a 1947 Dodge truck on a 1991 frame. He built it in just 7 months to get it ready for SEMA 360, a trade show that went virtual due to the pandemic. Medoro has one more year left at NAIT before he can drive away with a certificate in welding. Medoro also makes signs and welds for his family's business, Shaba Motorsports and Custom Hot Rods. Medoro is also planning on building 2 more rat rods, one of them being this 1938 Harvester truck and the other being a 1956 Chevy. He is also thinking about pursuing a ticket in welding after he graduates. This is Todd Murray, NAIT NewsWatch.
I was prepared to stay in because of the snow this weekend, but I'm thinking I might want to head out socially distanced, of course. Do you have any plans this weekend, Paige?
I was thinking the same thing, but maybe Erica can give us some ideas in entertainment. Erica?
Thanks, guys. Every winter season, Edmonton is blessed with a multitude of festivals, earning us the title of Festival City. Some events may move online to ensure physical distancing, but with countless outdoor attractions, many don't need to change at all. Zoominescence Festival Lights is an annual fundraiser for Valley Sioux Development Society. They showcase art installations from 10 different artists every year. This year, Zoominescence wouldn't have been possible without EBCOR Hearts and Soul Funder.
The 10 artists are the pieces that you really should try and come down and see. They're local artists. They put a lot of thought into it. And the theme this year is community resilience and helping each other out. So they've created some beautiful art pieces to help us all stay positive in this unusual year and to showcase how we're stronger together.
Enjoy the company of seals, sea lions, and Arctic foxes on your way to get a cup of hot chocolate at the Edmonton Valley Zoo. Zoominescence will start November 26th, every Thursday to Sunday until January 3rd. Children and stop-motion fans can enjoy Spirit Bear and Children Make History online, for free, and in the comfort of their own homes.
Yay! Yay, Spirit Bear! We did it!
The short film tells the tale of Spirit Bear hopping a train to Ottawa and banding together with children and animals alike to end injustice against First Nations children. Child rights activist Cindy Blackstop adopted Spirit Bear's book for the screen, along with filmmaker Amanda Strong and Spotted Fawn Productions.
This really tells a true story of how literally thousands of children came together to stand for justice for First Nations children.
Teachers interested in showing this educational film to their students can do so until November 29th by registering at www.fncaringssociety.com. If you're looking to shop local this holiday season, you might find yourself a box of cookies made by NAIT culinary students. Social enterprise Edmonton Eats launches their Holiday Cultural Box event. The boxes feature family recipes from multiple cultural hosts and cookies created by NAIT. The cookies are inspired by their students' family and cultural traditions.
Yeah, so we've partnered with Edmonton Eats a number of times, and what we've done this year for the holidays is we've kind of morphed a project that we were doing already in class, and we're just expanding it and growing it out into the community. So,
the Holiday Cultural Box event is just one way Edmonton Eats is keeping physically distant while still sharing the food and culture of people from around the world. Who would have thought an event happening annually for years would be virtually unaffected by the pandemic?
Fast forward 4 years, who knew we were creating an event that would be pandemic friendly?
The Canadian Tire Magic of Lights is 2.5 kilometers of fully decorated festive light displays celebrating the joy of the holidays. Guests can drive through Castro Raceways and see over 1 million lights creating moving animations of popular holiday scenes.
Actually comprised of 21 individual themed vignettes. So that is the Nativity, 12 Days of Christmas, Night Before Christmas. There's a construction zone. One of our fan favorites is definitely backflipping Santa in the sport zone.
Magic of Lights will be running from November 20th till January 2nd. Notably, the tickets are flex passes, which means once purchased, tickets can be used on any date between 5 and 10 p.m. Between holiday shopping, outdoor events, and events made available at home, there's no shortage of things to do this weekend. That's all I have for entertainment.
Well, it's looking like we're going to be heading to Castro Raceways this weekend. Hey, Caroline?
Yeah, we'll have to go check it out.
Have a good weekend. This was this episode of NAIT NewsWatch.